Alrighty, so here we are. We are back. Welcome to a new devlog for a new project. Sort of in the same vein as Herbert, but a lot better. Well, at least in my opinion. So we are going to run this. I'm gonna show you a quick demo real quick before we move on. So this is the first room. This is actually a feature that I wanted to implement with Herbert, is a dynamic camera system. So this first room is a purely follow the player camera. There's no threshold yet for the camera, so right now it only follows the player's X position, almost like a Mega Man. It doesn't follow its Y, and the only reason it's like kind of locked here is because I clamped it to the edge of the screen. And then if you hit this trigger right here, it does a fixed camera, so it fixes to the center of this room. And if you hit this, it does an auto-scrolling camera, and then once it reaches the end, it stops. And then if you hit this trigger, fixes on this point. I'm going to get rid of that actually, because it's not actually fixing on this specifically, but rather just like that was a reference point for me. And then I haven't done anything else. But other features of this new project is a variable jump height. So the longer you hold the jump button, the higher you go. The player speed it's alright. And yeah, that's about it. So, it seems all basically the same, but the way I did everything was completely different because I just started learning more about how GameMaker works in general. So I found out, actually my biggest breakthrough, other than using state machines now for my character and the camera as well, I found out that you can have this code specific to specific instances, which is a total game changer for me because I didn't realize you could do this, and I was like overwhelmed at the idea of having like all these different dynamic cameras and enemies and moving objects and whatnot, and I thought, yo, this is gonna be such a hassle program, I'm just not gonna do it. And then I just like did 2 seconds of searching and I found out, oh, you can make specific creation code for specific instances. So this one has its own stuff, that one has its own stuff, this one has its own stuff. If it lets me select it. Oh, that's in the ground layer. See, I gotta be more consistent. This one has its own stuff. I did that because I was lazy. But it was just like, that was a total game changer for me. I was like, oh my god. Like, I can actually do this kind of stuff. And then another game changer for me was using scripts for everything now instead of like purely just well, not for everything, but like using scripts and state machines. So this is my camera code. So my camera has 3 different states so far, and I have an enumerator to define those. And then these are all just the different variables for each state. And then, well, this is like just getting the camera's properties. This is the switch statement that switches between each one. This is just, what is it? This is getting the camera's position, I think. Yeah? Yeah. Uh, well, this is actually getting the camera, and then this is setting the camera's position, and then this is the actual like function to do it. And then this script has the different functions for each state. So the follow state, this is the code for that. That's all you really need. The fixed state, this is the code for that. And then the auto state, which is actually the auto X state, so I should probably name this accordingly. So auto X, because this is only allowing left and right movement. I'll have an auto Y, just because of the way I'm setting up the camera in this game. And then, yeah. And then this will probably be follow X, follow Y. Because I don't want it to do either at a time, so that I can have more control over like what the player can see. Um, so and then each one gets like changed depending on a specific like context. So if the player collides with this trigger for the auto, it'll switch the camera mode to auto, and it'll use the variables set here. Um, if the player collides with the fixed, it'll do that, and then I'll eventually have a trigger for the follow, so that it can go back to following the player or something else, which is great. I'm actually really happy about how it's going so far. It's a lot more quote unquote efficient, but it's just working, and I'm quite happy about that. So this is the player's code now. So the player has the typical create statement, but then also has a state. And so far there's only a normal state, um, but it works. So then I have these different scripts. So this is the controller script. It's still not completely neat. I could probably make this a little neater, but whatever. It just works for me. And then this is the normal controller state. So let's say if I wanted him to do the kickflip like in Herbert, I would have a different script, or a different function rather. So I would just go function s player kickflip, and then it would do all that, and like there'd be something in here saying like, or something actually rather in the collision code that would be like, oh, is he dashing? Did he hit jump? Send in here. You know what I mean? This collision code still kind of makes me like, and then my jump is in here, which doesn't really make me happy. So I want to figure out how I can get it out of there. But other than that, like, it works. I'm very happy about using state machines, and also just finding out that this exists so that I can have less hard-coded stuff and a lot more reusable stuff. So yeah, that's about it for this project. I'm keeping it small scale, small scope, whatever, so that I can just focus on getting stuff to work, and then eventually I'll add more stuff. It's definitely not going to be as ambitious as Herbert, with the whole to-do list and ideas and whatnot. Um, I'll probably end up making a Mega Man clone type thing, or maybe I'll turn this into Herbert, who knows. So it's all up in the air. As for the other stuff I'm working on, or quote unquote working on, as for like that other thing I was working on with my friend, the RPG, I'm still doing that. I'm probably gonna recode that as well, since I learned how to do all this. But that's just something else that I'm doing to learn how to make different types of games. But this is something I really like so far. So yeah, I think that's it for this devlog. Short and sweet, but it's working well. That's the main thing I'm happy about, is that it's working. So yeah, thank you for taking interest in my project. I will see you in the next devlog whenever that happens. Yeah, have a good one.